Why I don't like Bitcoin Treasury companies. Now, I wanted to make a video on why I personally do not like Bitcoin Treasury companies. Um, it's simply because I generally 100% believe in the ethos of what Bitcoin is and what it stands for. And Bitcoin stands for decentralized money that saves your time, hard earned, and energy, right? And every single financial instrument that exists today depends on the system working, right? Your house, for example, is actually like completely overpriced because it's far beyond what people would be paying for because inflation, right, is going into those assets, right? Because people, when they buy mortgages, believe it or not, they're creating money out of thin air, especially the banks, right? They give you a loan. That loan is money that's created completely out of thin air, and that creates inflation. And that's mainly what um, most of loans are, right? I mean, there are credit card loans, car loans, student loans. There's so many, different kinds of loans, but mortgages are generally, especially in North America and Canada, Australia, mortgages are primary, like mortgages going up and down depend, like the economy depends on it. So so assets, you know asset asset prices are insanely high, right? When you see um how much it has increased in a given period of time, in a long period of time. But so that means like everything is codependent on it, right? So if the economy fails, right, or deflation happens, houses is going to be affected by it. So, people will probably be selling a lot less. They'll sell their houses for way less, or their mortgages may go skyrocket or whatever. People will go bankrupt. But Bitcoin is something that stands outside of it, and I feel like Bitcoin Treasury companies is just too linked with that. It's too linked to the central system. And for that reason, I find it, yeah, it helps Bitcoin, numbers go up. But I personally believe if you are an average person who has a 9 to 5, you only have a limited amount of, income that comes in, for you to take your savings and put it into MSTR or whatever instead of Bitcoin, that's why I feel very strongly against. I personally I feel against that. And also, um, if you want to relocate or go anywhere, Bitcoin is borderless as well, right? Whereas if you have a treasury company, you know, if you're invested in stocks, Bitcoin treasury stocks, you're limited to what you can do, right? You know, but there is a slight caveat, right? There is a reason when you need to buy, when you could buy Bitcoin treasury companies, and that's if you have retirement savings account, right? Especially a workplace retirement savings account like RRSP, 401k. These kind of things make sense. Like then it makes sense for you to invest in Bitcoin treasury companies and get some exposure to Bitcoin through that, or even a Bitcoin ETF, right? But apart from that, if you're simply saying I'm gonna dump everything, like $10,000, $50,000 from my savings, right, or Bitcoin that you have, right, into MSDR or whatever, that's when I'm thinking to myself, come on, man, come on. I personally don't like it. Like, if everyone has their choice, this is, at the end of the day, this channel is not really about, it's not financial advice. You don't even have to buy any Bitcoin. Like, you can do whatever the hell you want. You have free will. Um, but yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Um, and the thing is, when you want to make like sometimes tech like this is the whole um um mission statement of this channel, right? That is having gut instincts. Gut instincts is very uh crucial, like, because you see patterns, you study history, you see certain patterns, right? Throughout history, you gain some knowledge on things, right? Sometimes it's very hard to articulate what it is that you know, right? But your gut tells you something that is true. So my gut is always telling me, is it centralized or is it decentralized? If it's centralized, stay away. If it's decentralized, maybe it's there's a choice. And also, if I see a software, if it's open source, it's good. If it's closed source, maybe I should think twice. Maybe I should think about whether or not I want to even touch it. So these kind of gut instincts, where it doesn't even matter how good, like, people, for example, always talk about Tether, how great Tether really is. And I always say to myself, it's a stable coin, right? And we're talking about a layer two, right? Like the petrodollar, because Tether at the end of the day is competing with the US dollar. It's not really competing with Bitcoin. But if you're telling me that Tether is going to be the next, it's going to dominate, and uh, stable coins, it's going to be the leader, and it's going to hoard a whole lot of Bitcoin, and it's going to, look, there's a lot of good things about Tether, right? Um, but the problem that I always see is, why am I holding Tether? Why do I want it? Like, why are we even talking about Tether? We're Bitcoiners. Why am I talking about Tether? Right? I'm gonna hold and store Bitcoin. For people who want Tether, that's their problem. For me, I'm gonna only hold and hoard Bitcoin. And it's not like I have anything against Tether. It's just that, and it's a gut instinct kind of thing, right? Centralized, decentralized. I mean, there's layer two Bitcoin that Lightning and eCash, and then you can there's Noster, right? So things that are built on top of Bitcoin, for me, seems attractive. That's where I want my energy and attention going. But when we're talking about using Bitcoin to charge something else as energy, nah, do you? For me, I want to build on top of Bitcoin. Like, it's like a tree, you know? When you plant a seed in the tree, and then the tree comes out, and then there's a T trunk, and then there's branches, and then the branches has leaves. I'm all for that. Whatever that creates, and then you branch out, I like that. But then you try to cut the tree and use that tree to go do something else with it. Nah, that's just mine. That's my opinion and prerogative. But you do you. You do you. But anyway, yeah. I mean, if you want to subscribe, you could subscribe. If you want to comment, you can comment. You have free will. You can choose. You do whatever the hell you want to do. You're your own person. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.